Hi, Asking RTC here. And there are some things about being in the military that can be hard to explain to people that are outside of the military. There's experiences that you share, and there's certain emotions, or maybe just certain things that you see that when you try to explain it to other people, it gets lost in translation almost. But I want to bring some of that to you right now. So, for example, ships are. And I know you're thinking, like, yeah, no, duh, ships are huge. But I am specifically talking about, like, warships, right? And I'm talking about ships. When I say ships, I don't mean what I was always grown up on is ships cross oceans and boats. They're like fishing boats. You go out, come back. They're not really designed to, like, cross oceans or anything like that. So let's talk about one ship in specific, right? So let's say the Aegis cruisers. Seeing there that they're getting decommissioned now, and I'm a little nostalgic about it because that was my first ship. We're going to use that as a reference scale. To be honest, when I was first walking up on my ship, when I first reported to it, I remember looking up at it and just thinking, like, holy crap, man, this is huge. And I got a little bit of vertigo as well. I'm a little bit afraid of heights. So I don't know if that happens to you, where you look at something really tall, and you stand at the base of it and you just kind of get a little woozy, or you'll loosen the legs or something. But let's use this for example, right? I'm going to throw some measurements at you. A cruiser is 567 feet long. To put that in perspective, that's like 1.8 football fields. So just how long it is. Now, let's imagine if you tilted it back up, right? Like you stood it right up on its tail, it would be 567 feet tall, right? Instead of it long as just being tall. That's approximately a 57-story building. I got to that conclusion just by Googling this many feet equals how many stories, but it's about 57 stories. So for example, if you to Google, or if you live near here in New York, the New York Times building in New York is about 57 stories tall. So I was looking for something that more you could relate to. If you've ever been downtown to like anywhere that's like it has skyscrapers that are 50, 60, 70 story tall buildings, look up at them. Now I want you to imagine tilting that over and putting it in the water. That's what it's like living on a ship, or just working on a ship, being in the ocean and crossing the ocean. So imagine just tilting another building next to it too and just pushing it through the water. And that's what like a unrep is, or a res, when we refuel at sea. So you're crossing lines over, you can see here in this picture. That's an amazing feeling when you're actually on the ship and there's another ship, sometimes bigger than yours, refueling you, and you're just in the middle of the ocean. You're just watching that happen, and you're so close that you can see the expressions of people's faces on the other ship. And you think, wow, if this goes terrible, that's going to be bad. But if that doesn't blow your mind, the idea of that happening and going through the water, then that's kind of like my example of what I'm getting at. There's just certain experiences and things that you see that you can't really share with someone that hasn't experienced it. And being in the military, you get that a lot. Some of the things you could share, though, is just moments that you have in the military. For example, one time off the coast of Japan, it was the middle of the night, and it was a beautiful night. It was a new moon, so there was no light pollution or anything like that. The water was so calm, you could look out to the ocean, and it would be hard to tell where the ocean stopped and like the sky started. So you would get a little bit of like your eyes would play tricks on you, and everyone thought there was like a tsunami coming. But in the middle of the night, it was so dark you couldn't even see your hand in front of your face, right? All you could see is the little red lights popping up everywhere, looking like fireflies, just to see it was just people smoking. But if you stayed out there long enough and looked at the sky, it's amazing. It's not black and white. If you look at some of these pictures here where they always show it, it just looks like it's photoshopped. Turns out they just use like special cameras that are like more light sensitive. They have a long shutter, so instead of it clicking real quick, it just lets light in so that you can see all these colors. Your eyes can do the same thing. You're just standing out there in the middle of the ocean. We actually got yoga mats. and just laid down, and we're just looking up at the sky for like an hour, and just, it's beautiful. It's not black and white with, white stars. It's brown. There's some green in there and some orange. It's colorful and it's amazing. There's just like some of those things that you can't really share with other people unless you maybe go out camping, right, in like the desert or something like that. But just, we were in the middle of deployment and just laying down and looking up at the sky on this giant 57-story building out in the middle of the ocean going through the water. Those are the things I'm just trying to make you understand. I just want to talk about how cool ships were and how big they are. And I'm about to make a video about how cruisers are, since they're going away and decommissioning them. Kind of want to do a little bit of nostalgia thing and talk about some of the guns on them too. Let me know if you want to hear something like that. Leave it down in the comments below. Booyah, Navy.